I I don't have any direct background in this. I'm really a hacker who loves to learn and loves to research and loves psychedelics. And then finally, I'd like to move on to Wali. So Wali is very interesting. And how it came about was my experiences with ayahuasca and my basic lack thereof. And I say this not to discourage anyone from ayahuasca, because I am probably one of the very few people, like very, very, very few, who can drink 12 cups and just not feel anything. So yeah, I sat 3 times with it, coming to it with this very specific trauma that I wanted to heal surrounding my birth. I was adopted at birth, and as such, I was taken from my mother, and I never felt wanted by her in the first place, right? But then I was never held by her. I went to these strangers who I didn't know, and this whole experience was traumatic, and it led to a lot of abandonment issues and a lot of just weird behavior that I didn't want. And as I became familiar with this issue, I decided to come to ayahuasca with it for healing. And ayahuasca did not help me. I did not have much of an experience. And I think it's worth mentioning that in my past, I've probably had somewhere around 800 or 900 breakthrough DMT experiences. So it's possible that that has something to do with why I didn't feel ayahuasca. But nevertheless, after my experiences, I was left wanting that healing, and I began playing with combos, incorporating these 2 dissociatives, Deschloroketamine and 2 oxo-PCE, which had come out recently or around that time. I found a really, really profound, deep healing state that after a few sessions with it, I was able to do the healing that I wanted, achieve the healing that I wanted from ayahuasca. I was able to relive my birth and reparent myself through the birth canal, through like seeing light for the first time, and tell myself that it's okay, that I am loved, this is all a part of the plan. At that point, that was the most profound healing experience of my life. What's kind of funny is that as this was happening, there was an ayahuasca ceremony in the other room, because I live with ayahuasca shamans. I was like, so in the next morning, I was like, hey, how y'all doing? Yeah, you get that healing? Yeah, me too. So that felt really good. So yeah, Deschloroketamine is the most active ingredient in Wali. It's a very interesting substance. It's one of the few analogs that's simpler than what it's an analog of. They basically take the chlorine off the cyclohexene ring of ketamine, and they have deschloroketamine. It's much more potent, much more longer lasting, and much more psychedelic. It's also a bit more embodied and soulful. It's a very interesting, powerful substance. It might be my most favorite single molecule, which is saying something. That's above DMT, that's above LSD, that's up there. I probably tried around 80 different psychedelics, maybe 70, and like 30 or 40 more like stimulants and other drugs. So the second ingredient, also dissociative, analog of PCE. Then we have a benzofuran analog of MDA. This is similar to 5-MAP-B, except it's less of a serotonin agonist, less of a serotonin reuptake inhibitor, more of a classic agonist. Then 2CB-Fly kind of adds a little depth and some visual to it. I found that it added a bit to the malleability, like how open I was to whatever was coming through, whatever download I was having, whatever perception I was having. And then finally, throw a little bit of the stimulant in there to make things a bit interesting. And the dopamine action will make a little bit more sense later. Like, come on, it looks like this is stimulating enough, right? No, this is an important piece, the dopamine action.
And then coming up in October, we've got a one-day conference with Dennis McKenna and more. We are currently open for sponsorships for both the Stamets and McKenna events. So if you've got a business that would like to support our community, a dispensary, a glass store, a naturopath, anything like that, we are currently looking for sponsors. Let's keep Portland visionary.